and welcome back to Bunters Yard. So today's video is possibly a little bit different to what we've done before. We'll be weathering this Revolution's IHA. It's like a steel carrier or nuclear flask carrier, I think they call them as well. But lots of these seem very popular on the continent, and but anyway, we've got 4 of these for a customer for a commission to do, and we're going to try and do all 4 slightly different but similar, I guess. We've got a reference picture to work from, but it's just a reference. So let me quickly show you. It's on the screen. Whoops! Let's move the camera. There we go. It's on the TV there on the monitor, just next to us on the desk. And we're going to kind of do something similar to that. We're not going to necessarily copy it, you know. Excuse the mess. We're not going to copy it exactly, but it'll be a nod towards that. That's slightly different colours and everything. But anyway, what's normally different, as I say, I would normally have done one before to get an idea of what we're going to do, or would have done one side and then turn you around and show you the clean side, and then so we'll start all over again. But in this particular case, we're just going to do this, you know, as a first time. Kind of, I wouldn't say make it up as I go along, but you know, we'll try and show everything warts and all. We've done similar to these before, so I've done covered wagons before, and we're going to be using a few of those sort of little techniques, and we'll see how it goes. We'll try and do this in one go. There will be cuts, obviously, in the filming where we let things dry, or if we're just doing the same on this side as we are on the other. It's pointless me showing you both sides. That just takes up more time, more for you to scroll through and decide which bits you don't want to watch. So that's where we're going to start. So there's a couple of things I want to mention. So lots of the times when I'm doing videos, I will be wearing gloves. For this particular one, I won't wear gloves. We're using acrylic paints, Vallejo paints, so they wash off really easily. I just find it easier to not wear gloves when we're doing certain things. But you'll see as we go along, the parts where, you know, it might be difficult, like where, you know, for masking tapes and some of the finer work. So anyway, so that's that. I've taken the wheels off just to let you know. We'll paint these separately in a little bit, but it's easier if they're off. I was going to take the bogies off, but they can stay, I think. Now I did notice this bit on the end. That's just primed to be damaged. So did notice. Let's turn this round. This one has come loose. Let's get some tweezers. So it's already come loose, and it seems to be sort of fairly simply glued in there. Maybe not even glue. It's like a I wouldn't say double-sided tape, but it's that sort of consistency. So if I can get this side off, then that would save me breaking it. Is it going to come off? Come on. There we go. It's come off. Oh, but it's attached somewhere else. In there. There we go. Ah, that's better. Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a rubbery glue. Right, so that's good. So we're going to put that out of the way so that I don't damage that. The real reason for that is that it gives me access to this. Then we can weather this, and then we can just pop that back in place. Nothing's damaged. That's all great. So yeah, happy with that. So on the original one, let's show you the picture again. Anyway, so there's the picture here. So there we've got these patches here. Now I thought they were a replacement, where they'd replaced, you know, they'd repaired the curtain, but I think they have covered over any branding that was on the side. So we are going to do the same on both sides, I think, just to give us a sort of nod towards that. Now the curtain on there looks like a different colour, so we're just going to have to go even lighter on this one. So I think what we'll do is we'll tape it up, we'll mask it up it's something similar to that. They're not exactly the same. So if we have a look at that, it's there, and I'm just trying to mask it the same way. So I reckon it goes through there and up there. So that's that first one. Let's use the bigger tape for the top. So this this orange tape is really good. So good, actually. I really like it. It's quite a low tack, but it sticks really well, if that makes any sense at all. But I think this is going to be on the website later today, so when you see this video, we'll put a link to this tape, because I think it's really good for what we use it for. Across the top. So this is why I won't like to wear gloves, because to use gloves with masking tape and sticky stuff, it's a bit of a nightmare. And let's just mask down the side there. So that's our first bit. And then there's a bigger one as well. So let's do that. And that looks like it goes somewhere along there, I think, like that. It seems to end about there. And then we need to mask along the bottom as well. So I think it's there. There we go. Now I'm just going to turn the camera off for a second, and I'm going to mask the other side and just fill in the gaps here so we don't get any overspray. So I'll be back in just a second. Right, so that's that bit done. We've done both sides. They're both pretty much the same. So we just need to give that a paint now. So just looking at different colours. We're going to use this one, which is Insignia White. This is a Vallejo Model Air colour, so this means we can put it straight in the airbrush, and we don't need to thin it down. It's already thinned. It's just easier. You obviously can use others model colour, and that basically would mean that you would need to just add thinners and dilute it. But this is just simply used. We don't need a lot. And I've turned. Let's move that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. We've turned the pressure down. But I'm just going to, so you can't see what I'm doing. So on the end of the airbrush, we've got this sort of dial here, and this just limits how much I can press that in. And if I dial it down, you can see nothing's pretty much coming out. There we go. So this just stops me just flooding the whole thing and making a mess. And then you get too much pressure and the thing runs and nightmare. So anyway, we're just going to do it nice and gently. You don't want to cover it in one go, because you just get runs if you do that. But it's just quickly get around. Dries off really quick. This hasn't got to be perfect because it's going to be weathered anyway. There we go. So that's that side done. Just pop that back over there for a sec, and then we'll do the other side exactly the same. Around the edges first, and then colour in the middle. That's all I do. And the other thing I try to avoid is sort of spraying into this bit here, because the pressure of the paint can go underneath the tape. So I try and spray down the same as the bottom, sort of spray up. So I'm spraying sort of over the joint of the tape. Anyway, So we're going to give that a second to dry. It's take long to dry. Let's have a look at the other side. So that's it's almost dry. Well, let's take that off while we can. Cool, nice and sharp. Actually, no runs on that, so that's good. Let's see if we can get both sides 2 out of 2. Would be lovely. Last piece. There we go. So that's good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're going to wait for that to dry off properly, because the next well, the bit we're going to do 2 stages ahead is that we're going to apply a really thin wash over this, over just the curtain side, and then basically we're going to clean it off, we're going to rub it off, and what will happen, you can see where the texture is, the you know, the sort of sags in the curtain, that will hold the paint, and the rest of it will sort of clean off, and it will just allow that sort of texture to show through. But because we're going to do that, what will happen is that as we add the wash, which is going to be a very thin Vallejo paint, what will happen is that will reactivate this, and this would possibly well, it will be washed off. You'll be able to rub this off. We don't want that. So once this is dry, I am going to use a car spray, which is a matte varnish, a matte lacquer, and that will seal that in. So that means that any so the Vallejo acrylics that I use on the top, there'll be a layer of enamel paint in between, so that the moisture from the new layer won't go through and affect this layer. That makes sense? I hope so. Anyway, I'm going to wait for this to dry. I'm then going to put the lacquer on, and then I shall be back. Now while that's drying, just as a thought, I just want to show you my cleaning of the airbrush. People always ask, that's one thing that one of the reasons they don't want to get involved in airbrushes is that it's so sort of a nightmare to clean. But anyway, let's move that around the other side. So what I do, especially if I'm going to be using this for a bit of a session, is that I've got this pipette. Now I've got, let me just show you, let me just bring it over. I've got this swamp of old water and dirty painty water, which lives in there. That lives off the side of the desk. And then I've got some fresh water, which is topped up all the time, obviously. So what I will do is I'll suck out as much of the unused paint as I can. We'll then use the clean water, which isn't clean for long, and if I just zhuzh it around, it cleans out a lot of the paint that's in there. So you can see it's pretty much gone, and we can do that a few times till it's pretty clear. This is just water. Don't usually use anything more than that. And if you hold your finger over the end and sort of press the button, well, let's actually turn that back up there. That's it. see it blowing back, and then it kind of washes the nozzle, the jet, which is at the end. And we just get rid of that. And then I would give it a little bit of clean water, bring in a tissue, and then spray it, and you can see it comes out clear. That's it, and then wipe around the end, and that's done. That's ready for our next colour. Now, if you're doing, if you're going, from black to white, then you're going to want to clean out the black thoroughly. So maybe use a airbrush cleaner. But if we're just going from one shade to another, just use the water. That will keep us going until we end the session. At the end of the night, we'll do it more thoroughly, and we'll do it with airbrush cleaner. So that's that bit. We're still waiting for the other thing to dry. I'm just going to go and recharge this battery and do a bit of painting with the aerosol, and I'll come back in a moment. Right, so this is now dried, and we've used a car aerosol can. You can use any of the brands, Timmy one and Revel, I guess, that sort of thing. But we used to use the car one. Comes in a big 400ml, and it's not really expensive. Pick it up at the range. But anyway, so that's dried, and then we've lacquered over the top. I've lacquered all of it, just to give it the same sort of feel all around. So anything we do will act the same on the tops and the sides. So we're just going to put a colour on that, and then we'll sort of wipe it back, as I say. So we're going to use this colour here, which is Earth from Game Air. So a bit of Vallejo colour. So it was an air colour, so it's already mixed. It's thinned down. Game is just the range. They have some different colours for war gamers and that sort of thing. But dirt is dirt, and dirt is different colours all around the country and all over the world. So there's no reason why I can't use that colour rather than saying that says some grime or railway dirt or whatever. So that's the colour I'm choosing. Now I'm going to thin this down even further because of what we're going to do on the top. So I'm going to use the Vallejo thinners. You don't need to use the Vallejo if you've got a different brand. That's fine. Just to be careful, there's some of them, they're not completely compatible. So I would kind of stick with the Vallejo if you use some Vallejo paints. I've used a different brand before, and everything curdled. It was like I had scrambled egg in the airbrush, which wasn't good, and it took a nightmare time to clean out. Oh, just in case you're wondering why it's got yellow tape around the top, is that when they sit on the shelf, it looks exactly the same as that one, which is the airbrush cleaner. They are different things because they've got the same label. It's just easy for me to see that it's got yellow tape, so I know what it's for, in case you're wondering, which I'm sure you didn't. But anyway, so let's give our paint a little shake, and then we're going to pop it in there. That's probably enough. We don't need too much, probably more than I need. And then we're going to thin it down. We're just going to put a little bit of thinners in, not too much. We don't want it like too much like water, just a little drop. And then we'll give it a little stir with the paintbrush. Some people like to mix this outside of the airbrush, just more to clean, and give this a little blowback, because obviously the bit down there at the nozzle will still be unmixed. If you give it a little blow, so hold your finger over there and give it a little back pressure, it will mix it for you. And again, we don't want to put it on too quickly. Make some space, and let's make a start on this. So I'm not worried about getting the paint on the bottom, because that's going to be grimed up a bit more anyway. Let's just we won't do it all in one go, we just do one side at a time. And the reason for doing that is that by the time you get around the other side, it's already dried, and then it's a nightmare to get off, and you lose the effect. So if we just give that a little rub, or you can use a brush and create sort of streaks if you want. We might do that in a minute, but you can see that sort of the bits, you know, with the swags or the creases, they've held more paint than the rest. So that's the way it's going to go. Let's do the other side. You can go a bit heavier if you want to. Let's have a look, see what that looks like. And just give that a clean. We're trying to go downward strokes, but it's not desperately important for this particular part. Let's do the roof while we're there. You can see maybe on the top, yeah, there you go, you can see a bit better that it's held the paint. And I think we're just going to go over it a few more times. So building the effect up now to the other side. Maybe a bit more on the roof. Now the roof or the top always seems a bit grottier than the rest, so we'll just go heavier at the top. And we'll just maybe dab that just to get a bit more off. And what I think I'll do here is we'll just mix something a little bit darker in there. Let's just let's have a dark grey. Just gonna darken the brown up a little bit, just to give a bit of a variation. So I'm just using a grey, not too much, otherwise it will sort of overtake and it will all be grey and not brown. Give it a stir. It's quite dark now. And we'll go again. Let's do the roof first so we can see the colour. There we go, it just starts to come through now. Oop, don't like that at all. Let's take that back and start again. It was a bit too wet when I did that, but anyway. Now, one thing we can do is you can even just run the stripes across if you feel like that. Possibly the end would be dirtier than the rest. Difficult to see because it's wet and we've got the lights on, but you can get an idea. Let's try a brush maybe for that, shall we? Let's try and find a flat brush. Bear with me. That's what I do. So we've got a soft flat brush. And we can just create some runs. Get rid of those brush marks at the top. There we go. I think I'm okay with that. Just use a wet brush and we'll just clean some of this off a little bit. Now I think that we'll probably be doing this in 2 videos rather than 1. I thought it's taking a bit longer to do this than I guessed it would. I'm not entirely happy with that. It's a bit heavy there, so I'm just going to clean that off, I think. And we'll just blend it in. There we go. That'll do. There we go. I'm kind of happy with that. Now the last thing I want to do on this side, I need to go back and do the other side in a minute, is I'm just going to use a cotton bud to clean off these panels. So if we look on the original, these always seem to be clean. So let's just clean those off. And that one as well. And at the other end, it seems to be clean. As does these yellow squares. Not sure what they're for. I'm sure someone knows, and maybe they'll put in the comment if they're there for a particular reason. They seem to be. They're red on the picture that I've got as a reference, but this is slightly different. So that's that side. We'll let that dry, but I'll crack on with the other side. I'm going to turn the camera off for a minute. And you join me back in a little while. Right, back in the room, as they say, apparently. So we're going to deal with these ends first. I think we'll deal with these next. I think what we will try is this rust wash. So we're going to apply this with a brush. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Let's just move that to the side. Put a little bit in there. Now, I prefer this to be a little bit more dilute than it is, so it's just a bit of thinner in there. Let's get our brush, and then we'll see how it works. If it doesn't, then we can take it off. It's not a problem. So let's move that in there, and we're just going to apply the wash, and the idea is it will just run down into the to catch on the on all the bits there. Very technical to speak bits and runs and whatever, but anyway. And this will give a slightly different effect. Once it's dry, it does look a little bit different, so try and sort of trust the process, as they say. There we go. So we'll just leave that, and we'll do the other end. So the ends on these always look really, really dirty. All the ones that I've seen that are, you know, in service. So I think we'll be making a bit more work on that in a little while. So let's just let it dry, and again we'll come back. You can see it's already started to dry. Slightly different colour there. Let's just leave that and we'll come back in a bit. So the ends have now dried. Just to give a bit of colour to those, we're going to do some more work on that in a minute. I think next thing we need to do are the bogies here. And looking at the picture, it's just covered in grease, which is a really dark browny grey colour. So I've mixed a couple of colours together. I've used flat brown, which is a Vallejo model colour, so I've thinned that out a little bit, and then added in dark grey, Panzer dark grey, just a kind of one of my go-to grey colours. And we mixed it in the airbrush. It looks a bit more brown in there, but it isn't. It's actually quite nice. So the bogies look to be covered, and these parts not as much. So we're just going to catch the end of those. So let's just turn the pressure down a little bit. Let's move that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So we don't want it to splurt out. There we go. So we'll start with the bogies. Let's turn that up a little bit. See, I don't like that, so I'm going to add on a bit more of the grey. Getting there. That's better. Let's just get rid of some of that. That's better. Right, okay. There we go. And with this, we'll just catch just along the bottom. Like that. And then while it's still wet, we'll just clean off the board there. Don't worry too much about it. Maybe even in there a little bit. And then the yellow parts, you want to keep them yellow because they're being used, and they're any of the dirt that goes on there would be cleaned off by sort of traffic. So oh, and I also cleaned back these hooks earlier because they're always being used. I guess they're always going to look nice and yellow. So I'll do the other side. Along the end of there as well, and then quickly clean off that board. Hasn't got to be exactly clean, completely clean. Just want to give it a look as if it's been cleaned at some point. And then we need to do the ends. So again, if we look at the ends, they are completely covered in this grease and grime. So make sure you can see it. It seems to be quite a bit back. The bottom is almost covered. Let's just turn that down a little bit so we control it a bit more. That's fine for now. And then the same at the other end. Fine, let's just leave that there for a minute. to move that out of the way. And then we need to paint the wheels. So we'll just use the same colour. Paint the inside as well and stop them shining too much. And we'll just do the rest of those. And then so final parts. Just noticed that the battery on the camera is just a few percent, so maybe I'm going to rush through this bit faster than I should do. But anyway, we're going to add in some of this, which is shafts and bearings grease, because this is a enamel paint, so it will dry with like a sort of greasy sheen, so it's quite nice for sort of buffers and things like that. So we are just going to apply it there. And what you can do is I like to just dab it in with that just to soften the edges a little bit. Sorry, I hope you saw that okay. And then I think we'll just add a little bit on some of these. See where these joins are, they would be greased. And as we leave that to dry, it will just sort of bleed around and become a bit sort of less defined. And then also, let's get some more. I'm just going to touch in the springs as well. And we'll carry on with the rest. The last thing we have got to do in a moment is to add back in the guardrail from the end. So we'll just glue that back on there in a moment. Oops, on there so you can see. And that's it done. We'll add some steels at the end so you can see around. And that's it for this one. Thanks for your time. Thanks for bearing with me, not knowing what I was going to do half the time. But hopefully we got there. And we'll see you very soon again at Bunters Yard. Bye for now.